Are you curious about a cover stitch machine and how it works? And also, is it really worth paying so much money for a machine that basically can only do one kind of stitch? Well, all that and more in my beginner's guide to cover stitching. In my hand I am holding here a hem sewed with a cover stitch machine, and I have a very stretchy rib in it, which is a nightmare to hem with a regular sewing machine because it would stretch out for the one side of the room to the other side of the room. And this seam works in the following manner. As you can see, on the front side it has 2 rows of straight stitch, and on the other side there is a wide chain stitch, and this chain stitch is what keeps the fabric stretching out without popping and also makes sure that it recovers well. And it also creates a very nice even seam that is very durable. And basically there are 2 kinds of cover stitch machine. Standalone cover stitch machine like this one, which is the Genome CoverPro 2000PX, and combination machines, which are a combination of a serger and a cover stitch machine, where you can switch around the seams to do both things with one machine. As you can see at the upper here, it looks pretty much like a serger, which means all the threads is threaded from the upper part of the machine. Here closest to me are the threads for the needles, and the furthest away is the thread for the lower looper, which is the hem here. And normally you don't have to make much adjustments because there is a preset for the tension, which is the one you hear, that you adjust the tension for the needle thread, and the furthest away is the tension for the lower thread, and this is what you probably have to adjust a bit if there are some errors. But the main thing about the cover stitch machine is the differential feed, which you can also use on the serger, and that adjusts how the presser foot feeds the fabric. So for instance, if you are hemming a very loose knits, if you're doing it on a regular sewing machine, as I said, it can grow and grow and grow. However, if that happens with a cover stitch machine, to just adjust the differential feeder, and that will keep the fabric in check so that it retains its original shape. And also, if the opposite is the case, that the hemming makes the fabric really tight, to just make the differential feed a bit looser. And that is the number one thing that will make sure that hemming knits will look very nice with this machine. And that was how the standalone machine looks like. Now I've just briefly talk about the combination machine. So this is a combination machine. It's called Pfaff Coverstyle, and I bought this about 12 years ago. It works both as a serger and as a cover stitch machine. However, you can't just switch all that easy. You have to set up it differently, and you do that by removing this piece and replacing with a flat bed for the hemming, and also by removing the knives. You will also have, with this machine, you will also have to do some rethreading, and all that takes a bit of time. For my machine, it took me several minutes to change between the 2 sort of stitches. These days there are also machines that you don't have to rethread, and they have all the settings done for you. However, the one that I've been recommended, which is called Babylock Ovation, is so expensive. In fact, I think in Sweden it's about 3 times as expensive as the cover stitch machine, and I was told that in the US it costs like a used car. In fact, a pretty good used car is cheaper than that machine. The thing is with the cover stitch machine is that you really truly get what you pay for. One of the main reasons that you might have issues with the cover stitch, like skip stitches, broken stitches and all that sort of issues with the tension, is due to a low quality machine. But not just, it's also that you have to be super careful when you're threading, making sure that it's right. And if you already own a machine and you're struggling with this, I highly recommend that you check out my ultimate guide to cover stitching, which is on my blog. There's a link below in the comment section if you want to know more. There I interview an expert about how to do the cover stitch in the best way, and I also talk through how to achieve good looking cover stitches with a budget machine like this one. Now it's time to see how this machine works. Now the machine is already set up, and I highly recommend, you always have a piece of fabric in the machine, because that will make it much easier and prevent a lot of the issues. So that's already set up. And what you'll do is you place the fabric like this, and then you just start sewing. So that was the stitching. You will need to secure the stitch, and you can check the manual for the Coverstitch machine on how to do that. Here is the finished hem. As I said before, it has excellent stretchability. So to answer the question that I asked in the beginning, is this machine really worth the money? Well, for me it truly is, because I make a lot of knit garments. In fact, that's what the majority of the clothes that I make are. So for me, this is the only way that I can achieve the kind of hemming that I think is acceptable when I make my own clothes. And especially if you're working with any type of super stretchy knits like lycra knits or rib knits, this machine is pretty much a necessity in order to hem in a way that looks professional. So for me, yes, but for you, obviously, you have to decide. I mean, it all depends on how much knits you make. And the good thing about this machine, it will probably make you sew more knits, because you will make it work so much better. If you have any questions, please ask in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer it. And also, if you want to see more tutorials on how to sew with knits and cover stitch, you can check out my blog, thelaststitch.com, where I have, as I said, a big guide on cover stitching, everything from troubleshooting, picking the right needles, picking the right machine, and all sorts of goodies. And if you want to see more videos from me, just please hit subscribe. Until next time, bye bye!